Hello, and welcome to the Digital Dyspeptic, your irregular podcast on technology and society, fueled as always by weak coffee and strong alliterations. At least that's what we're aiming for. We're going to kick off every podcast with a limerick. Yep, that's right, a limerick. According to Wikipedia, or Wikiality, a limerick is a kind of witty, humorous, or nonsense poem of exactly 5 lines with a strict rhyming scheme. So a good example would be something like this from Edward Lear's famous Book of Nonsense. There was an old man with a beard, who said it is just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren, have all built their nests in my beard. Now, I ain't no Edward Lear, but I know I often talk nonsense. I've certainly been told I do, so I'll just work the rhyme in somehow and it's all good. The theme will always be about our use of technology, how it's changing the world around us and our relationship to that world. So to kick off the Digital Dyspeptic Podcast, here's your first limerick. There once was a man, I don't jest, who thought life online was the best. His neglected spouse, taking child and house, found it all too much to digest. Now, I don't think anyone can dispute the premise here, that digital technology like the mobile phone and the internet has become all-pervasive or even an all-invasive force in our daily lives. We certainly can't live without it. And at the same time, as a society, we're having some growing pains living with it. It gives us butterflies and excitement, but it can also disrupt, make us obsessive, anxious, or dyspeptic. So this is why I thought of launching this series of podcasts, to begin a dialogue on the impact of these sorts of communication technologies on how we interact as human beings, on social behavior, and on society as a whole. Now, we're at the very beginning of the digital revolution. We haven't seen anything yet. We're in a period of transition, of adjustment. So, although we enjoy our technology, there are aspects that don't quite sit well with us, so to speak. As parents, we wonder how to protect our children. As teachers, we're not sure how best to use the internet as a tool for learning because, well, we're not sure Google provides the best education. As managers, we worry about our workers getting too distracted by the web. And as employees, we're concerned about the overarching power our employer has to monitor our emails and our surfing habits. It is getting harder to draw that line between professional life and personal life. And as teens and tweens, we're wondering how to get rid of that embarrassing Facebook picture. Grandparents might not always get just what the fuss is all about. This morning, as I tried to fight my usual pre-coffee sleepiness, I tried to think about just how many people are immersed all the time in networks and gadgets. Check out the woman in the gray suit with a surreal Bluetooth headset talking to herself at a volume never suited to the occasion. Or the guy on his bike with one hand on the steering and the other on his cell phone. Oh, and I don't know if some of you remember Fountain Lady, as she later became known. This is a person who walked right into a fountain in a shopping mall in Pennsylvania because she just didn't bother to look up from texting on her mobile. Soaking wet, she unceremoniously walks out of the fountain to continue her texting, and it's all caught on YouTube. Not as extreme, of course, are the groups of people who stand around socializing, but all the while they're texting with somebody not physically present. We've all seen the couple at the restaurant, sitting face-to-face, not talking to each other, but entirely focused on talking with someone else on their mobile or texting somebody else. Or the hordes of folks that are isolated behind their laptops at Starbucks, generating lots of additional email. Now I wonder, do we really need all that email? Maybe, maybe not. But there is panic, sheer panic and anxiety when you lose access. Oh, that sinking feeling in your stomach when you think you've lost your cell phone. Status update disconnected? Huh, never. Not disconnected, but I'd venture to say fragmented. After all, we're trying to juggle so many identities online, making it not only a pain with all the passwords and usernames, but it makes it very difficult to trust those we interact with. Do we really know who TRP1489 is? Clearly, the internet and the mobile phone and all the apps they have to offer have transformed the way we lead our daily lives. Sometimes it seems we wander through life from digital task to digital task. iPhone goes off, if the alarm works. Wake up, check email, shower, tweet, update status, get dressed, text, get on train, check phone, get to work, surf web, email, tweet, buy concert tickets, e-bank, and text your dinner date you're late. And more people aren't even turning off their gadgets at night. There's even a small amount of sleep texting going on. Or even worse, the drunken post. Oh, come on, admit it, you've done it. It's a zone, man. Uh-oh, I feel another limerick coming on. Maestro, cue the music. There was a girl born in a maze who for the web was full of praise. Texting and tweeting was her state of being, engulfed in a digital daze. I did warn you we were into the alliterations. So, I ask you, is it a dance or a trance? Our shifting from screen to screen, from window to window, from Skype to SMS, from chat to status update? It's all rather intoxicating, isn't it? From the 24-hour news cycle to the 24-hour tweet cycle, we do live a 24/7 digital life. From mediating our social relationships through lovers' emails or Match.com to giving us the potential of fame. And not 15 minutes of it necessarily, but just a few viral seconds have the potential to go global. Hello, Rebecca Black. But keeping in touch with a 24/7 digital day is not an easy task. In fact, it's a full-time job if you want to do it right. This digital circus certainly needs a juggler. But is all that juggling making us more productive? And then there are those who wish to disconnect. And why not? Is there room for them? I don't know if you're anything like me, but I never feel I do enough, and probably I never will. But what is that telling our kids today? It's not who you are, but how often you tweet. It's not the time you take to think or reflect that matters, but the speed at which you write it down, at which you write anything down. Sure, it can be fun and interesting to read posts and comments to news stories or videos, but often it's almost impossible to wade through the clutter and some of the nastiness. Hello again, Rebecca Black. That poor thing is only 15, and she's bearing the brunt of a lot of anger. In terms of clutter, the same applies to a lesser degree to hits generated by searches, because it's search engines that decide what we see first, which information we're even allowed to see. So although information is at our fingertips, and this is a wonderful and revolutionary thing, do we have the right filters to absorb it? Not only external filters, but also internal ones, in our own mind. How do we give our children, those digital natives, the ability to form adequate filters, to convert that information into knowledge? Now, speaking of filters, I think it's time for another coffee. So thanks for joining me today for episode 1 of the Digital Dyspeptic. What I tried to do is to raise a number of questions which I hope we'll get to explore over the next episodes. And next time, the topic will be digital darlings, technology and gadgets as mediators of relationships. Anyone know what rhymes with stalker? Anyway, I do digress. So stay lucid and catch you next time for the Digital Dyspeptic.